everybody? Welcome back to a brand new The Boys Season 3 Episode 4 review. We got a fun discussion today and non-spoilers pretty much overall. I got to check out the episode early and there are about 8 to 10 things that Amazon Prime has asked me not to talk about until later on. So we're going to be having a fun discussion. I'm going to be tiptoeing around that, but feel free to spoil the episode down below in the comment section. Let's hear your guys' thoughts down there. What was your favorite moment from this episode? And if you haven't gone to check it out early, beware of the comment section, but let me know what you're looking forward to seeing in this show. So episodes 1 through 3, just a little bit of a background context I liked. I was a little bit caught off guard from that first episode and the dude going in a man's penis and blowing up. That just caught me off guard and it really much made me go, okay, are we just doing things to be shocking now for the sake of shocking? And I found that episode 4 really much ramps this back up into exactly what I want. But one thing that I feel that this season in particular is falling into is very much setting up many things to come. And if you've read the comics, there's some cool things in here that very much parallel to that, especially where the boys might be going. And I was really appreciative to see these elements, especially one thing in particular dealing with Hughie and Butcher, which I loved. And the payoff to that in a scene in Russia was fabulous. And again, if you've read the comics, it was like ripped right out in such a stylistic way that I love that review more than I did in the comics. And I love how they were able to bring that in here. And again, that is going to be a fun thing because it's funny, it's brutal, and it's badass. And I loved it. But going away from there and really much looking at this entire episode and everything that it's really much setting up. And again, I'm only talking about episode 4 because I haven't watched episode 5, 6, 7, and 8 yet. So my tune might change on that. But I'm curious to see if you guys are starting to realize that as well. Because as we look at this, and really much the way that I want to piece this whole entire thing together is we have the boys, we have the 7, and then we have Victoria Newman and, of course, Stan Edgar and everything going on in there. So let's start with the boys and some of the discussions that we can kind of go in there. Of course, they are going on a trip here. They got some fun things to do. You know, we got that going. And speaking of one of the characters in there, Hughie, there again is a special thing that happens to him in here. But one of the cool and interesting scenes in here that we did get was a scene that very much pushes him into this direction that I think a lot of us were expecting to see finally. And it is where just him and Starlight are talking and just pretty much saying, hey, this is what Homelander's doing. Homelander walks in on them at one point and just kind of has this confrontation. And he is so, like, Anthony Starr is so unhinged in this season now. Because, in a way, his character has understood that he has been held back for so long. But now he can kind of just go up. And we see this in the first 3 episodes, but now it continues in here. And certain things that happens with Stan Edgar and to the entire company of Vought. And what is going on with Vought now and how he feels like he is untouchable. He is unstoppable. Cool, take everything away from me. What's there for me to lose then? I will just kill everyone. And we see this with, in particular, with his kind of psychological threat towards Hughie and Starlight in that scene. And that only goes further, which we'll go and touch back on the 7 in just a second. As we go back to our group of the boys, Mother's Milk is very much dealing with a lot of trauma with what has happened with Soldier Boy. And Soldier Boy is very much a big piece and element to this because, well, when we get to the end of the episode, we'll talk about what happens with the boys in Russia. Because when they head to Russia, Kimiko actually goes on this awesome rampage and she's going in there, but she really much, you can tell, is starting to realize that these powers are a curse. And that's something that, again, Butcher realizes as well when he takes the Compound V. And this is something that I feel like certain Supes in here are also realizing. But in this fight scene with Kimiko, which dildos galore. I mean, I was just sitting there like, what is going on? This action scene was great in the way that she was using it. And it was absolutely bonkers and hilarious. And those are the elements of the boys that I do love. But even when she gets back, you know, she gets shot in the head. And what is the ramifications for that? We see that maybe the ramifications of what had happened in that moment deal within the end of this episode and certain things of how it becomes a very big parallel to the entire world of Supes and what this could mean for the future of superheroes in this world. And, you know, as they go to this kind of heist to find out this weapon that could potentially kill Homelander, they get there. And there's this cool little hamster that's jumping around, which there's a cool funny thing there that really much parallels back to the baby thing that Butcher used in the first season. But of course the Russians, they come in, they start shooting up the place, and it's coming up to a fight. They fight them off and they open a weapon, and they open the weapon and it's Soldier Boy. Very much paralleling to Captain America, which I loved, and I can't wait to see Eccles a little bit more in this, because for me, every little glimpse we've gotten from him, especially in the flashbacks, certain things here and there, and even in the marketing, it has been fantastic, and I can't wait to see what they do with his character, especially after the reveal we get in this scene. And in that moment, it just goes off from there. Now, jumping a little bit further into this, let's jump into the 7 and everything going on there. Some things that we realized and found out in here was Maeve is actually the one kind of training, and, you know, Starlight comes in and she's trying to have a confrontation with her and discuss with her, like, what is going on. And we end up finding out Maeve is actually the one leading Butcher on this chase, which is interesting. And I've loved Maeve since the last season, especially in everything that they've kind of given her behind the scenes. But I'm looking forward to see where this might actually take our main characters now, especially with these characters and how they are trying to actually build up a team that could potentially maybe stop Homelander. You know, they end up getting Supersonic in here, which maybe wouldn't have been the best thing to do. And then as they're trying to team up and bring everyone together, like A-Train as well. And, well, if you've seen the episode, you know where this leads to. And there are interesting dynamics in here. And, of course, you can see that the 7, we've really much seen this through the last 2 seasons as well, is that they're starting to split apart in multiple dynamics. The Deep and A-Train at one point get in a fight in here. And it's just, again, they're all attacking each other and not working together. And again, the satire towards superheroes in there was what I really like about this show and love it. And when it's firing on all cylinders like this, it's really much working. Now, moving in, of course, that is what's going on with the 7. There's some things in there that, again, Amazon Prime does not want me to talk about. Well, we definitely will mention next week in next week's episode review. Diving into the last piece, it is Victoria Newman and, of course, Stan Edgar. Now, something happens with Stan Edgar in here. Victoria Newman has a giant press conference, and she's pretty much like, hey, calling out Stan Edgar. He's been doing this, this, and that with Vought, which brings him into the demise, and he has to step down. Which, again, is very much just like our society and what happens with businesses nowadays. And it sucks. And seeing how his demise happened like this really sucks. And then seeing why Victoria Newman did it also sucks. These are all elements that really much lead into this episode. And again, build up the middling point of this episode in this episodic season of 8 episodes, which makes me just excited to see. And I'm really excited to see what your guys' thoughts are on this episode. So make sure to leave a comment down below, as well as hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoy talking to the boys every week, because I also love doing it. I just like having these conversational pieces with the camera where I just feel like I'm just talking to a friend about this, and I can't wait to discuss your guys' thoughts down below. So thank you once again for watching. You guys are really all the best, and of course, until next time, stay classy.